Join us now is Alfonso Aguilar, president of the Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles and former chief of the U.S. Office of Citizenship. Alfonso, you're a faithful Catholic. How significant is it that for Catholics, that President Trump is meeting with the Pope on his first international trip?
I think it's extremely important. In the past, presidents in their first trip have usually visited Canada, or in the case of President Bush, Mexico. The fact that he's going to countries with important religious sites, to the main religions, I think it's very important. The fact that he's going directly to Rome, I think shows that he recognizes the spiritual and moral leadership of Pope Francis. So I think for us Catholics, I think it's just very important. And I think it highlights also the importance that the Trump administration is giving to religious freedom and to the importance of faith in society.
Last year, Pope Francis said, I want to quote here, he says, "A person who only thinks about building walls is not a Christian." Now, some people feel that comment had to do with Donald Trump's proposal to build a wall. Did you interpret that way? And what do you think about this meeting? Do you think they'll talk about that?
Not really. I mean, I think he was asked a general question. Obviously, there's probably displeasure with the way Donald Trump talks about immigration when he talks about, building the wall, that Mexico's going to pay for it, that the majority of people coming from the southern border are criminals and rapists. I'm sure the Pope is not very happy with that tone, but I think as they talk about immigration, I think the Vatican and the Pope will be very pleased with a lot of the proposals that Mr. Trump is putting forward in terms of immigration. He's saying, we have to take care of border security. We have to remove those who undocumented immigrants who have criminal records, but those who are good people, we have to make a decision. And he's called the majority of undocumented people terrific people. He's also said about the dreamers, those who came here illegally when they were minors, that he wants to find a solution for them. So I think the problem, that the issue the Vatican has had, Pope Francis, is mostly with tone rather than policy. So I think it's going to be a constructive discussion.
Well, as you know, Alfonso, in terms of the domestic mainstream media, that's not been the focus in terms of Donald Trump. It's been a lot of negative in terms of how they present the way the Pope and Trump sort of disagree on the subject, like immigration. But in fact, there seems to be a lot of areas that you had alluded to before where they actually agree, especially on the pro-life efforts. Do you think a lot of these issues will help them to sort of unite as opposed to divide?
Absolutely. But President Trump has shown that he's committed to defending the dignity of the human person, and that's certainly an important point of agreement. But there's another point that the media has paid absolutely no attention to. Donald Trump has said that the United States should not export values that go against the values of different cultures across the world, that we should respect the sovereignty of foreign countries, and he said that he wants to reduce foreign aid, probably in programs through the U.S. Agency for International Development that promote abortion or the radical LGBT agenda. And the Pope has been critical of those efforts from the Obama administration, calling them colonial imperialism. So it seems to me that there's going to be a lot of agreement in that area in ensuring that the United States does not export proactively, like President Obama did, abortion and an LGBT agenda, generally a very culturally leftist agenda, and respect the sovereignty of other countries.
Okay, well, we'll be watching for sure. Alfonso Aguilar, president of the Latino Partnership for Conservative Principles. Thanks so much.
Pleasure.
The White House invited our own Lauren Ashburn and other network anchors to join the president for lunch yesterday to get a preview of his overseas trip. EWTN News Nightly will also bring you comprehensive coverage of the president's meeting with Pope Francis. Our executive producer, Susie Pinto, will report from Rome. Join us all next week.